Hello fellow tankers, and welcome to the first debut episode of Dauntless Tactics. The first map that we're going to showcase is the map Mines, and we are in our 1390 on the south base. Now the first thing I want you guys to do when you're analyzing a situation during the countdown, right, that first 30 seconds, don't be tabbed out watching a YouTube video. Focus on what exactly is happening. So phase one, you want to utilize your tank's view range, specifically in a light tank, and or you want to get some early damage, right, without taking any return. That is the main goal of phase one. So what are our options here? All right, well, if we look at the lineup, you'll notice that they have 3 light tanks, right? 3 light tanks and 1 medium tank. Their light tanks include the Bat Chat and 2 T49s. Ooh, that's kind of scary, right? T49s have an HE round that can do like, what, 900 alpha damage, if not more, if they pen you. That's something that we don't want. And so as for phase one, again, if our goal is to not take any damage, then we aren't going to want to take the hill, because there's a good chance those T49s are up there and we don't want to risk it. Well, what does that leave us for options? Probably checking out the one line, honestly. We could push over to C9, but depending on what heavies are over there, if you notice, this is a very heavy rich environment, and with 3 artillery, we have to realize that our heavy tanks can look at the lineup and say, oh my gosh, 3 artillery. What heavy tank player wants to play the center when there's 3 artillery on mines? So my prediction in this game is that most heavy tanks are going to be playing this area, and if that happens, this location is going to be kind of exposed and I'm going to get lit a lot. And so my best play is to play the one line, and I could also push up to this rock and get some early damage, but again, I just don't want to risk exposing myself to the derp of the T49. So we'll go ahead and get this game going here, and I decide that the best thing I can do right now is push the one line, or at least get it to a position that I can spot the one line. I'm communicating over comms with my brother, Jake, or Edema, and he decides that he's going to go take advantage of just something crossing the hill. He's not going to stick around there because it's suicide, because no one else is going to the hill. And look at that, the Bat Chat pushes in, ooh, 965 damage. So his phase one was super successful. He's already at 1,000 damage at the very beginning of the game, and I get myself lit. I think it's probably the Bat Chat, I'm not entirely sure, but the T49 could be there as well. T49 is quick enough that he could be hiding in that bush, and I'm going to just peek to see if I get lit, to see what exactly spotted me, because I don't think the Skoda can spot me because he's too far back from that bush. So this almost confirms for sure that that T49 is there. Our Senlak is driving backwards into the bush, and he's probably going to get lit if he does that, if the T49 is there. The fact that he drove forward means that, in fact, the T49 is probably hiding there, and I decide I'm going to just risk it, and I'm going to shoot this Skoda. And there's a chance that T49 could shoot at me, and there you go. Just like predicted, that T49 is, in fact, sitting in that bush. Thankfully, I wasn't giving him much to shoot at, and I know with his derpy gun, he missed my turret and hit me right in the gun, and while he did knock it out, he only was able to do 28 damage to me. Now, Jake is doing something that most light tank players won't. He's sitting in the back, and he's trying to spot the hill. And he's letting me know he has vision on everything trying to cross through here, as well as the hill. We don't know what's on the hill. My guess is that the other T49, since these guys aren't platooned, is on the hill. And again, phase one is officially over, right? We were able to get some early damage. We know where that T49 is, but we are now officially in phase two as of this moment. We're about 2 minutes into the game, and phase one typically only lasts 1 to 2 minutes. But because our heavy tanks are in position, they're kind of at their choke and they're brawling, and we're kind of at a stalemate here. The middle is kind of at a stalemate, even though the T95 is pushing our 704. Effectively, we are still in phase two. Now, that T49 shot, and I knew that my risk of pulling out right there was greater, and I really don't know what happens to my reticle there. It just blooms for no reason. It could be server lag. But I took the risk just because I realized that the middle is starting to succumb to the enemy's push, and I decide that if we can take out this T49, we might be able to shift the game in our favor. Now, I'm realizing here that, oh shoot, the T95 probably has shots on me here, and I decide to back down and give him a harder target to hit. So again, phase two, we are winning, and a lot of you might be tempted right now to be like, okay, this is great, there's no one on the one line. As a light tank, I need to push in. But you got to hold your thoughts for a second there, because if we push in now, what could potentially go wrong? Well, for one, The SU, I guess the SU is on the hill, but we could get shot by all the artillery. The SU 130 PM could shoot us, and then pretty much anything on the hill or the heavy tanks could pull around and shoot back. And this this Senlac is kind of suicidal. Okay, so this is something that I want you guys to be really careful of and aware of. Our fellow Senlac, he's full life, he's driving in, and if you look, yes, you know, I was tempted to push and make this play too, but I didn't, and for good reason. There's nothing to support him right now other than me, and I have an autoloader and my gun is not super accurate. If he goes there and he spots the SU and 3 artillery and he gets focused down, and let's say the SU starts shooting at him, the T49 could be off the hill right now. It's just too many unknowns and too high of a risk because we haven't won this yet. And if you make these kind of rash decisions, I can't talk, this early in the game, you'll find that you won't be super successful, right? My goal is to help you increase your win rate. So he decides to push in here, which is, you know, not like the worst decision in the world, but he is pushing in, and he takes that boulder there, which is a good play, right? He hasn't completely suicided. The second I get lit and my sixth sense goes off, that SU snaps me, and so unfortunately, I do take a hit, and that was a mistake. We're still in phase 2, but I ended up taking damage. You know, not the end of the world, we still have plenty of HP, but we don't want to sacrifice too much. Now that Senlac is even going in more aggressively. Again, mistake number 2 on the Senlac's part. What is the purpose of doing this? There's no one that can support him. The KV-4 is pinned down by the T-95. Maybe the 704 could have a shot, but he's kind of down in a depression. And we need to look at the map to see what's happening. Okay, so just now, did you notice just what happened? We are officially in phase 3. We just went from in a winning situation to absolutely everything on our team on the eastern flank being massacred. Now we are at a 7v10 and we are at a loss. Recognizing this tilt right now is so effective. I'm going to pause the game again. What is our Senlac doing? He is actually pushing into the enemy when we are losing. This is absolutely not what you want to be doing, especially in a light tank. You have the ability to relocate. He's not pinned down. He's not in any kind of dire situation. He could wait to get unspotted and he could easily fall back, but he doesn't. He decides to push in. Watch what happens to him. He decides to take on that SU-130. Artillery could be hiding anywhere around there. And I am thinking, okay, I need to just fall back. I need to protect our cap. And look at that. Okay, the Senlac did finish off the SU-130, which was great. But he decides to charge artillery, it looks like. And, oh, okay, he killed artillery too. So overall, he didn't do too horrible there, right? He was able to finish off 1 artillery and the SU. The SU, though, is not going to have a big impact on this game for us. The SU, it's neither here nor there whether he's alive or not. And artillery, it's not important if they're dead right now, right? They have an artillery, we can work around that. But right now, our main priority, and again, he got punished by the T-49, our main priority, guys, is to make this loss into a win. I know a lot of you guys would be in this situation thinking, what can I do as a light tank, right? I win about 60% of my games, and I would say about 1 in every 10 games is a game like this, where it's kind of a stalemate for a long time and all of a sudden it tilts. It tilts against you. And when that happens, you want to be in a position where you can punish enemies as they aggressively push you. We are in a 4v6 situation. They have a T-95, which is going to be super hard for us light tanks to deal with. Our STRV is hiding in the back. He's not going to be able to reset the cap. And me being in this location now is so crucial to winning this game. Again, if 1 out of 10 games turns into this situation and you lose those 1 out of 10 games, that ends up like a loss or you start getting rolled, that's 10% to your win rate that you're sacrificing, guys. And if you can turn these games into wins, which is my goal for you guys with this tactic series, you will get a bump in your win rate, hopefully by a whole 10%, which would be amazing. So we have the broadside of a T-95 right now, which would be impossible for us to penetrate otherwise. And we're going to try to finish him off. Unfortunately, he angled away from us, and we were not able to finish him off. The 704 dies to the T-95, but this is not our concern right now. We need to try to reset the cap, and I need to reload my clip. I realize, okay, we have 30 seconds left. I need to fall back. And, you know, we are now in somewhat of a winning situation. If I was not there to do that damage to that T-95, Jake would not be able to finish off that much HP, and that T95 would still be in the middle. We would be one tank less, and now we'd be focusing on how do we finish off this T95 if I was still sitting at E1, and we would not be able to get back to the cap because we would be spotted and killed. So really important here. I save one shell because I know something is left on the cap. Now think about it here, guys. The artillery just fired and finished off, I believe it was one of our tanks. I forget what it was, right? But we lost one of our tanks to Artie. That means artillery, if artillery just fired, he's not on cap. Well, what else could be on cap? The Suma SM, right? So again, remembering tanks and trying to figure out who's on what. Because the last time we saw the Suma, he was on 40 HP because we were the last ones to put shells into him. I can finish him off in one shell, and that's why I saved that one shell. Otherwise, I would reload because we have a whole minute on the clock right now. And I don't want to risk the other tank deciding to get back on the cap and me being left with an awkward 20-second reload. So we spot the Suma, or maybe Jake actually spotted that Suma, and we reset. We get nice 40 reset, and right here is really important. I have about 15 seconds on my reload, and that 703 is most likely reloading after firing at Jake. So I'm going to close the distance while I'm reloading. I know I'm probably going to take a hit here, but it's okay. Now I'm in a position, broadside to him, with my clip just about to finish off. Jake is coming around the corner for a second round with his derp gun, and this guy is turning around, not quite sure what to do. I'm going to put 2 shells into him here, and Jake finishes him off. We just turned almost certain loss into an easy win by doing that. I'm going to reload a fresh clip, and we're going to move to try to help this STRV. The T49 was lit over here, and he's most likely going to try to be taking advantage of our STRV. I decide to push around to the side so I don't get spotted, and wherever this guy is, I should be able to finish him off. We put 1 into him, see if we can get 2. Awesome, let's see if we can finish him off. Great round. So we were able to finish off the T49, and we turned around a situation where we got Defender medal most likely for defending the cap. And the reason that would have been a loss, guys, if I hadn't fallen back right when I recognized the tilt from phase 2 to phase 3, unlike the Senlac who instead pushed forward, is if I was left with Jake on E1 and that T95 pushed forward, I wouldn't be able to pen him. And if those two were left on cap, there's no way we would have made it back in time trying to deal with that T95, and if we pushed that T95, we would have been lit. And also that would have given the opportunity for the T49 to flank us and artillery to hit us. And so falling back the second I recognized that tilt, getting into a position where I could farm the side of the T95, and then ultimately resetting cap and coordinating with my brother is what won us that game. You're not going to always find that this works, but falling back will guarantee you at least one thing: you're going to get more damage. And if you get more damage, you're going to increase your win rate. And over time, as you learn these positions and get better at reading the map and reading the phases, you will be able to have victories like this. Again, I know with World of Tanks, about 5 out of your 10 games, 6 out of your 10 games are going to be, we won really quickly, we lost really quickly. And that's when phase 1 actually just kind of melts into phase 2, where people just kind of push you with the momentum they have in the early phase, and you just lose within 5 minutes, right? But these prolonged games, and these are the games I love because you have to use your brain to figure out what exactly needs to be done to win. And recognizing that tilt, and again, you guys probably agree with me that at least 1 out of 10 games results in kind of a stalemate, and then you end up losing. Sometimes you'll win, sometimes you'll lose. But in those situations where you would have lost, again, recognizing that shift, taking advantage of it, and winning is how you are going to increase your win rate. So hopefully that was really helpful, guys. I thought this was a great replay to show you exactly what I mean by these Dauntless Tactics. If you liked this strategy and you want to see more content like this, just smash that like button down below and let me know in the comments if you found it helpful, and it will encourage me to create more content like this for you guys in the future. And if you haven't subbed to me already, hit the subscription down below, hit the bell icon for more content like this in the future, guys. So yeah, overall great game. 5K combined, brother in arms with my brother. How fitting is that, guys? Touching barrels right at the end. Which, again, that's kind of, we won't go there. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode.